Looking for new spring outfits or decor? Shop St. Vinny's for quality clothing, furniture, and home goods. Thrifting's cheaper than shopping at big box stores or online, and April is Earth Month, so shopping at Vinny's is a great way to protect the planet. Plus, support local. All dollars spent at St. Vinny's stay in Dane County. Proceeds go to local food pantries, pharmacies, microloans, housing support, and more. Follow at Vinny's Dane County on Facebook and Instagram to be notified when special events are coming up or to see the latest finds in store. What's that? Supporting Wisconsin youth music education is good for the community and the spirit? I know that's right. Mark your calendars. Notes and Narratives is an intimate one-day benefit concert on April 19th at My Arts Madison. This year features The Soldier's Tale by Igor Stravinsky, a theatrical work combining music, storytelling, and dance. This is a great fit for people who enjoy theater, dance, or live storytelling, not just classical music. Get your tickets today at wisomusic.org. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, it's spring election day, and it's getting nice outside. It's time to get out and play, and here with me to play and chat about what's happening in the Hamlet is executive producer Haley Sperling. Hey, Haley.
Hi, Bianca. Happy election day.
Happy election day, indeed. And new to the show, local writer and comedian Emily Winter. Hey, Emily, how are you?
I'm great. And now I'm even better because I get to see you do today in real life. And it brought me so much joy.
It's a fun way to start the show. So it makes me so happy to hear that that brings joy to other folks as well. You know, Emily, this is your first time on the podcast. What should folks know about you and who you are in this city?
I'm very new to Madison. I just got here in October, but I did go to college here almost 20 years ago and fell in love with Madison. So after almost 20 years of living on the coast, I'm back. And my husband, who's also a comedian, we're trying this weird thing where, you know, you live out your dreams from one of your favorite places. And that might not be New York or LA. So we're super pumped to be here.
And I understand you've been throwing comedy shows in train cars. Can I have FOMO because I've missed them so far? But
come to our next one. It's April 16th. Yeah, we've been throwing monthly comedy shows at Local Motive in West Wash, and it's such an elegant, lovely space, and it's so fun to throw comedy on a train car. It's silly. It's great.
Yeah, throwback to my days at UW-Madison where I went to more than one party in that train car and I had some good DJ house music beats. So I want to have another experience. I love that you're doing that. We're so pleased to have you on the show and we want more fun and comedy and just to talk about what's happening. Like you always need a little bit of joy. And the big news today is the spring election, which is a pretty big deal. We look forward to elections here in Madison. We've been talking about what's on the ballot and voting need to knows on the podcast and in our newsletter for the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, which is up for a vote. 2 contested school board seats are up. Dane County Board of Supervisors has a number of races across the county. And today we're going to look a little bit closer at the city council for a beat. Haley, what's going on for the common council races?
Yeah, you laid it out really well. Like you said, these last couple of weeks, we've been kind of zooming in on different races happening on the ballot. And today I am digging into city council. All of the even numbered districts are up for election this time around. If you guys will recall, last year, all of the alders were on the ballot. And next year, all of the odd number districts will be up for election because we did this whole thing where we voted to have the alders run on staggered terms to maintain institutional knowledge, to make sure that they're not having to do all this training all the time, and to kind of just get voters on this regular schedule of like, now I know when I'm voting. So like I said, even numbers happening this year, and there's only 3 contested races. So I'm going to just jump in and kind of lay those out for y'all real quick. The first one happening in District 8, which is the campus area district. It covers the UW-Madison campus, and this seat is typically held by a UW student. And this year there are 2 sophomores in the running. Ellen Zhang and Bobby Gronert. Gronert is a sophomore majoring in political science, and Zhang is a sophomore majoring in sociology and economics. Interestingly enough, Gronert is running as a Democratic Socialist, and he's gotten some high-profile nods for that. He got a little profile in Jacobin magazine, if you guys know, the fun, like, socialist magazine out there, national. He's been endorsed.
The fun social.
Yeah, I guess fun socialist. I don't know.
It's got a fun name, that's for sure. Yeah.
They do some like comics and stuff in there too, right? It's
fun.
He's been endorsed by former District 8 Alder and current legislative candidate Juliana Bennett. He's also got an endorsement from Dane County Supervisor District 2 Heidi Wegleitner and others. Meanwhile, Ellen Zhang has the endorsement of the incumbent District 8 Alder MGR Govindarajan and Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway. So interesting kind of the breakdown there.
I remember being in college and I was like, you could be a child and you can run to control the city? How do 20-year-olds know how to do this? I totally believe they do. It's incredible. It
couldn't be me, but I'm happy that it's someone. Both of the candidates, obviously, they've named housing and affordability, public safety, transportation as their top issues. The biggest difference between them, not a whole lot. Obviously, we've talked about this before. When it comes down to city council candidates, there's not always that big of a difference between all of them. So kind of just sometimes goes on vibes. But based on the candidate Q&As that I've read, it seems like Zhang's focus is a little bit more centered around her district. So District 8, the campus area, whereas Gronert has a little bit more of like a citywide effort in mind. So thinking a little bit bigger picture, and maybe, you know, one day we'll see him running for a different district or a different office. Who knows? Maybe there might be bigger aspirations there. So that's the folks to watch in District 8. Meanwhile, there's the South Side, District 14, that is sort of southwest, wraps around towards Fitchburg. There are two candidates in the running there. Noah Lieberman, a 31-year-old stay-at-home dad, and Kate Blood, a 75-year-old retired chaplain whose professional background is in housing. If you guys know Noah Lieberman's name, it's because he's run for this seat before, not once, but twice. This is his third bid. The first time was back in 2023 when he lost in a tie after his opponent's name was drawn from a hat. So that's democracy right there. Emily, I know you weren't here for that. So this is huge news.
No, it's very Hunger Games. I don't like it.
That's one way to look at it. And then he ran again last year, like I said, when all of the names were on the ballot, and he lost after getting 48% of the vote. And so that came down to a loss of just 141 votes. So again, just coming down to say your vote matters here in Madison. It matters a lot in these local elections. When it comes to the candidates and where they stand, both have noted housing and protecting immigrant communities as some of their most important issues for both the district and their city. They've both really come out saying, you know, we need to stand up against Trump's quote unquote, you know, fascist movements happening across the country. Like I said, this is the third time Lieberman is running for this seat. I do think that is interesting because it does show commitment, at least in my eyes, that he keeps going for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be about people's going door to door and connecting with individuals because, like you said, there's a lot of similar shared values there. So I really don't know what's going to happen in terms of third time's the charm. Who knows who's more charming than the next, but they both seem like strong candidates.
Yeah, exactly. And then speaking of folks who have also run more than once, our last contested district is over on the west side, District 20, which includes the Elver Park area. So Islam Khilji, who also ran in 2023 for city council under the name Sammy, is challenging incumbent Barbara Harrington McKinney. For context, when he challenged her in the past, he lost with about 20% of the vote. Barbara Harrington McKinney has been on the council since 2015. She is currently 80 years old, and her big focus is on housing and community building. In both Q&As with the Cap Times and the State Journal, she referenced our city's massive and continued projected growth. She's a big proponent also of body-worn police cameras, saying, quote, "It's time." So interesting point there. And Khilji, on the other hand, has lived in Madison since 1984. In an interview with WORT, he said he feels that it's his responsibilities to step up and serve as alder. He's noted the need for more traffic infrastructure and some changes around Elver Park. Though I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit harder to find information on him. He did not answer or he did not participate in the Q&As from the State Journal or the Cap Times. So I had to do a little bit more digging for that one. But those are the breakdowns of the 3 contested races here.
That's awesome. Haley, thank you. I think now, folks, you have your breakdowns here on CityCast Madison. You can go back and listen. We've been kind of tackling one race at a time. And also, our newsletter editor, Rob Thomas, wrote an election guide, so you can have the important information at your fingertips. Go check that out. But now I just kind of want to talk about voting. And Emily, like, what's your relationship like with voting in Madison now that you're back? Big fan? Yay, nay?
One thing I gotta say, if Noah loses for the 3rd time, Noah, if you're listening, I will buy you a beer or a non-alcoholic cocktail. Because 3 times, yes. Yeah, so I think my polling place is the Essen House. I'm not sure yet. I just moved into this like sublet that I'm here very like briefly. And I was like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to vote, but it turns out I just made the cut. So yeah, so I'm gonna do it. I'm trying to learn as much as I can, as fast as I can. I haven't voted in Madison since I think, gosh, like the John Kerry Bush 2 election. I think I wrote a column for the Daily Cardinal about it, and it was like a metaphor. I did like a thing about video games, and I thought I was so brilliant. And now I, read it a couple years later, and I was like, oh, this made no sense. I was like, I am going to change the world. And then a year later, I was like, what was I saying? I've been voting pretty consistently since 18, but it did dredge up that memory for me.
Well, we're glad you're back in the Madison voting pool and so kind to offer Noah Lieberman a NA drink.
We're doing it, man.
Yeah, that camaraderie. Haley, I mean, what about you? Like, how do you find voting in Madison?
I love voting in Madison. I love that people are always down to vote. I think I've mentioned it before on this podcast, but the primary for this election just a couple of months ago, I found out that I wasn't registered to vote at my current address. So fun fact, Emily, you can same day register to vote in Madison, which is so helpful for people who show up and they're like, what am I doing here? So yeah, we love our poll workers. Shout out to them. They are working hard. I'm excited to see what the turnout is going to be like because, as you mentioned, Bianca, and you interviewed both of the Supreme Court candidates on the ballot, like that has been a huge driver of turnout for the past couple of elections. But because this Supreme Court election isn't flipping the ideological balance of the court, might be a lower turnout. People might not feel the need to show up as much, but I don't necessarily think that will be the case in Madison. I think Madisonians love to vote.
Yeah, I really do think so. We don't have that problem in Madison, but of course we could always get more people voting. Like that would be excellent if we saw higher voting numbers. One way, hot tip, y'all, Union Cab is actually offering folks free rides to the polls today. So they're keeping up a tradition of offering free rides to and from polling places for Dane County voters and poll workers who we love on Election Day. And it's a part of Union Cab's Democracy in Motion program. So from this morning until polls close at 8 p.m., if you are a voter around Dane County, you can call Union Cab at 608-242-2000 and you request a, quote, Democracy in Motion ride. So don't let a car trouble or something or missing the bus mess you up. Like Union Cab's got your back, which is pretty cool.
I love it. Shout out to Democracy in Motion, literally.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep the momentum moving here. The races are certainly off for Election Day. Get out and vote. And now going to relay right into what's the scene for summer sports in Madison. More contests to be had, but first let's take a quick break. Explore the wonders of science! Y'all, it's time for UW-Madison's Science Expeditions, the yearly UW campus-wide science open house. Yup, you heard that right. UW is opening its doors to their science labs and research centers to you and your family for free. From April 10th through the 12th, you can adventure around your top-tier public land-grant research university. You can talk with world-class researchers, enjoy science demos, and and get hands-on at interactive exploration stations. The variety of programming is amazing. You can learn anything from what the inside of the human lung looks like to the science behind ice cream. You can even meet marmoset monkeys at the Primate Center. Again, UW-Madison's science expeditions events are free and open to all. So, see you at the open house? Find the full schedule at go.wisc.edu/science expeditions. All right, it's time for our weekly segment, Banking Outside the Box with Oak Bank, with the sponsor of this episode, Oak Bank. It's your opportunity to get your banking and financial questions answered by an expert.
Hi, I'm Jim McNulty, Senior Vice President of Business Banking at Oak Bank. And our question this week is, what are the advantages of working with a local bank? Well, when you work with a local community bank, you get the benefit of local decision making. The people that manage your money live and work right here in Dane County, not in some skyscraper in New York or some other far-off city. You can swing by the bank at any time and ask us a question face-to-face. We're actual people available for you in person, and that's how it should be. For 25 years, our tagline at Oak Bank has been, "You can't be the best if you're only the same." This means local banks give back to the community that they serve. We reinvest in Dane County businesses, families, and community services, strengthening the local economy and our community as a whole. When you work with a local bank, this means you're working with real people, not automated phone systems or bots. When you call Oak Bank, somebody actually picks up the phone. And that may seem quaint in today's age of AI and recorded phone menus, but for Oak Bank, it's really foundational. We're real people answering real questions about your business's financial needs. If you have any questions, just reach out to us at Oak Bank.
Huge thanks to Oak Bank for sponsoring this segment. If you've got a banking or financial question, hit the link in the show notes. You might even hear it answered in an upcoming episode. We're back. Let's talk summer sport, another kind of contest on Madisonians' minds, rec leagues and the like, how you and your kids are going to go out and get active. Emily, are you a big sports girly? Are you sporty spice?
I am so sporty spice. I love sports, and it's a little bit scary when you move to Madison and you're like, it's so cold for so long, and you're like, I have to get in. I have to get into the sports at the exact right moment. Otherwise, I'm going to miss all of the great summer things. So that's what I've been freaking out about. And that is what I decided to research today. Are you in any sports?
I surely ought to be.
The amount of times that Bianca and I have on this podcast said, are we going to do this together? Like, are we going to join roller derby? Are we going to run a marathon? Are we going to do this? Like, are we going to play tennis?
Hey, girl,
it's shade on myself.
We ran a
too.
5K.
We did.
We ran a 5K together. But, you know, I am a sports girly in that I appreciate sport. And last year at this time, I spent a lot of time at my boyfriend's softball games. But I will admit, like, I kind of want to get into my own rec league. And I love tennis. Like, tennis is a big one for me. And I'm starting to feel like I want to get my Naomi Osaka, Serena Williams, Venus Williams on and return to those roots. So what about you, Haley?
I was a sporty gal in college. I played lacrosse for UW, which was super fun. And then, these days I find myself, I'm in the gym a lot, but I'm not a huge team sports gal. I do love tennis. Bianca, I'll see you on the court. But these days I kind of rely on Bianca and our producer Jade to tell me what's going on in the sports world.
I used to play tennis, and I have recently quit because I got so into pickleball, but I haven't yet played in Madison. So, but yeah, pickleball, tennis, you can find places to play all year round. There's always, a new set of lessons or smaller tournaments, things like that. So you don't have to worry about missing the deadline. But there are some summer sports where you might miss the deadline, and one of them is today. Softball registration for MSCR ends today. Madison Sport and Social, they also have softball, but that is going to be a little bit later in the summer because they don't start until like mid-July for their summer deadlines. But yes, if you want to play softball, you got to get in today. Also, kickball, that one ends soon for MSCR. That is going to go until 4/19.
You know, I think for kickball, that window stays open if you're willing to pay a fee.
Oh, and then obviously Ultimate Frisbee. Volleyball and Ultimate Frisbee are things you got to look out for. Deadlines for Ultimate Frisbee last year were mid-May. The summer registration for MUFA, do we say it like that? Do we say MUFA or do we say MUFA? Do we know?
They do say MUFA.
They do say MUFA.
I did an interview for this show last year with one of the MUFA folks. And you folks can go listen back to hear all about the many, many, many teams of Ultimate Frisbee that there are in Madison.
I have never played one game of Ultimate Frisbee, and I was on their website and I was just like, this is a completely different language. Yeah, but it's June to mid-August. So deadlines happen in May, so you're fine on MUFA. Just keep it on your radar. What else? Oh, volleyball. So this is the thing. Moving here and then seeing all these beautiful volleyball courts like at Wisco and at Come Back In, and there's places around town. I mean, I didn't even know about Schwogler. Is that how you say it?
Never heard
I'm
of
being
it.
so new. Okay. It's in Madison, and Kiva, which is in Middleton, is like indoor and outdoor soccer and volleyball, and it's like a whole sports complex. But they are accepting beach volleyball registrations for summer. If you're going to play at like a bar, like Come Back In, that is actually fast approaching because their welcome party is May 16th. So they definitely probably want you to register in April. I talked to somebody at the Wisco who said that those courts are already full for the summer, so you might want to give a call if you want to play at a bar, and definitely do that soon. So yes, softball number 1 if you want to get in, but everything else, you have a couple more weeks, I think.
Volleyball is really hot in Madison. That's one of the sports that I kind of want to know more about, getting into a bar volleyball league, because it's just, you drive around, it seems like they're having the most fun, you know?
So fun.
Yeah.
Bianca, how tall are you?
I'm tall as hell. I'm 6'1.5" so I'm a spiky baddie.
You're a spike queen. I don't know if that's a saying. It sounds weird.
She's a spike queen.
Okay, I really, the reason I wanted to talk about this on the show today is because I need to play softball, take it or leave it. I'm a retired fast pitch pitcher. My body is creaking now. Whatever. Volleyball, I absolutely have to play. So if you want to play on my team, I have one husband who will also play. We are okay.
Just
and we
one?
My other ones don't want to play. It's so weird. But yeah, we need like a team of 8 to play at Comeback. And so just get at me, anybody. But Bianca, if you want to do it, I will be very, very patient. I'm 5'6", so I'm just like medium height, and I'll set to you all day long.
And it's funny because it's a net sport. It is not the same as tennis, but I was a doubles tennis player, is like put her at the net. Like watch, yeah, it's done for you. But I will say every other conceivable skill, I don't know if I have it. Are any other sports speaking to you, Haley, from what's on deck right now?
Well, the thing that I love about all of these sports that you've laid out, Emily, is that like there's kind of varying intensities to all of them, right? Like some of the volleyball leagues, I have friends that are really intense, like the ones that play indoors specifically. They're like, we're here to defend our title. But like the ones that play at the bars are like, we're here to drink beer and maybe play volleyball, you know? So I feel like you can really find a spot that's open for you. And that's, I think, definitely the same thing, too, with Frisbee and like kickball, too. I kind of forget how big of a deal people love kickball in Madison, which I forget exists outside of elementary school gym class.
From what I've heard, I've never been in a kickball league, but I think that might be the most alcohol drenched of all of the recreational summer sports. I used to be on a beach volleyball team. This will tell you how not good I am, Bianca. My beach volleyball team that was all stand-up comedians. Our team name was Good Set. So I'm just looking for my new Good Set.
I love that. I'll say I know that I didn't participate per se in a sport. I was a fan last year for Madison Softball League. I ended up playing in a game with a guys team because they were short on people and I was wearing the wrong shoes, like kill yourself shoes, basically, not high heels, but just you cannot play in these. And I subbed in and had to wear one of the guys' Crocs that was size 15. And I tell you, their team still won. The bat and the ball did not make contact when I went up.
It's important that your feet made contact with size 15 Crocs. That's the only thing that
Honest
matters.
to God. Well, we've been talking a lot about the adults. Obviously, there are kids out here that want to be out and active this summer. Like, what's going on for Madison School and Community Recreation for the kiddos?
Yeah, MSCR, they have registration for soccer that will be in May and June. So it isn't up yet. So check back next month if you want your kid to play soccer this summer. Also, they started posting summer camps all the way in February and taking registrations for summer camps all the way in February. I couldn't find anything that says that they're closed. So, and there's a ton of different day camps for all different age ranges. So whether your kid likes to play sports or do crafts, that's all on the MSCR website. So I couldn't find a deadline. So I think that means it's still open. But have a look for kids. Yeah.
The next Michael Jordans. I don't know what I'm saying.
The next generation of drunken kickball players. I don't know.
The facts. Well, on that note, we are going to keep this show on the road and talk about, we've got a Good On Ya in Madison segment coming up. But before we get to that, let's take a quick break. It's spring, and it is time to give flowers. The biggest greenhouse stocked full of vibrant flowers needs to go over to our friends at Tone Madison. This week's Good On Ya, Looking Good in Madison segment that we're workshopping, but that's probably the title because it's fun and messy, goes to Tone Madison, the iconic arts, politics, and culture website co-founded by Scott Gordon, kept alive in service of us all by many talented editors and writers for 12 years. Tone Madison said goodbye last Friday, publishing their final microtones on the meaning of Tone Madison. This one's a big one, and they deserve all of the flowers. And in terms of looking good, Emily, you're in LA and New York previously. They and Madison were in LA 10. They made Madison look cool. They spotlighted cool things in our city. They critiqued uncool, problematic aspects unflinchingly. Tone had edge and joy. The journalist-owned and reader-supported website has been a part of Madison since I've called Madison home back as a UW student. It was my first paid writing gig covering the arts. My first podcast appearance was with Tone Madison. And yeah, I know I'm not alone. The community is mourning this outlet that has for over a decade published witty, worthwhile, interesting, honest, real, to-the-ground coverage of our city. Haley, I know that you have deep ties to Tone Madison. How's this hitting for you?
This one's hard. I'm not going to lie. I've got a lot of feelings about this from the Tone standpoint, from the larger journalism ecosystem standpoint, to the we need to be paying for our news standpoint. And yeah, I mean, Bianca, like you mentioned, Tone was the place where you first got your jumpstart writing. And that was true for a lot of people in Madison. You know, Tone was ready to help people start writing. Tone was ready to help people start reporting, start asking these hard questions. And also, Tone let people write about whatever tickled their fancy at literally any moment in time. The range of things I have written for Tone is honestly nuts.
Hit us with some.
Well, my very first and honestly probably my favorite piece I've written for Tone was about eating escargot off of the late night menu at Tornado Room. And that was like the beginning of my like, oh, I can write anything I want and someone might actually pay me to do it. And the reception that it got was so great. People were really into it. And it was just like, wow, I can do this. And it feels great because before that, you know, most of my writing experience came from the Badger Herald. Emily, you know, you said you worked at the Daily Cardinal, close enough, right?
Forever rivals. It's
Forever
fine. I only have
rivals.
like a tattoo of a cardinal on my arm.
That's so funny. I have a Badger Herald tattoo, but I cannot show it to you guys.
Amazing.
Yeah, Tone, it was a great place for everyone. My mom at one point was a copy editor for Tone. It was something that like really anyone could get in on. I lost my job like a lot of people back in 2020. And so I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I needed to be doing something. So I had reached out to Scott over at Tone and be like, can I help you, sir, with anything? Like, you don't really even have to pay me. I just need to fill my time. And I ended up being like their fundraising manager, and I helped them raise, tens of thousands of dollars in their end of year giving campaign, which I'm super proud of that. And then, aside from writing about snails, got to write about bathroom selfies at bars. I wrote a piece for a bigger collaboration series that Tone and Madison Minutes did about the basically post-Roe life in Wisconsin. So the many, many ripple effects that had in our state. And that actually won a Collaboration of the Year award from Lion Publishers in 2023. So that was the first National Journalism Award that I ever got, was through Tone in a way. So, and then I got to write about Paul Blart 3, which is exactly what it sounds like and nothing what you would expect in many ways, as it should be. So Tone forever, man.
Yeah. In terms of the things that I didn't write for very long, but it was an important moment for me to say, like, Bianca Martin, author. I got to write about film and the art scene, and I wrote about the movies that UW Cinematheque was putting out there. I got to cover the Bad Cinema series at the public library, where, it's, as stated, bad films that deserve to be made fun of. And then I also did a piece on Ingmar Bergman. Cinematheque was doing a series on him, so I watched all 5 of the Ingmar Bergman films, and I fancied myself. I was going to be an auteur director at the time. I studied film, radio, TV, and the film really spoke to me. So to be taken seriously and to have an editor be like, "Oh no, like you can write," and I'm like, "No, I can. Oh, and you'll pay me? Big deal." My favorite part about Tone was really seeing all of my artsy friends write pieces. Like that was fun for me. I was like, oh, all of these artists in Madison having a chance to explore their weird imaginations, like their visions for Madison, and just things that were underground, like the music scene. I don't think people really realize, unless you are really connect with Tone's work, just how important Tone was for giving new artists a platform and for people to take new artists' work seriously in Madison. And yeah, I really showed up for the critiques of local government. I want to read a line from Scott in his last Microtones, which I feel like encompasses that ethos. He's like, I still believe Madison badly needs more media voices who push back on the overwhelming inertia of establishment narratives. It feels like trying to move a mountain with toy bulldozers. And I think Tone really stood in the space of willing to make some enemies, not necessarily everyone's friend, but an honest outlet that, you could get some spicy takes,
It really looks like it was like the best of alt weeklies and the best of blogs sort of rolled into one. And I feel like right now we're just having general nostalgia for the 2010s, and blogs and alt weeklies are part of that. And so I'm like getting all worked up, even though I wasn't around for Tone. but
you feel it.
I feel it. I'm like, don't take this away.
And they really fought for it. And Haley, you can speak to this so much because I moved away, but you were here. Local journalism is just a beast. It is a beast. We're doing it now, and we have been for years, but just keeping up that functionality of paying your writers. It was not an easy thing to do, and they did it valiantly.
I think something that really was so special about Tone and is so special is just the amount of attention that they paid to our arts and culture scene. They cared about the films. They cared about the local filmmakers. They cared about the music. They went beyond just the what's going on at the Live Nation sponsored venue these days. So yeah, like I said, shout out to Tone Madison forever. They really did it big. And it just goes to show, if you love something, put your money where your mouth is. There are many ways that you can support local media. And one way, for free, listening and subscribing, like here on CityCast Madison, just listening to this podcast is a way to support us. Subscribing to the newsletter is a way to support us. Sending links to your friend, like, hey, did you read this article in Isthmus? Like, we love it. Go share.
Oh, it was 12 years, right? 12 years is a very long time in the life of something like this. Like, I mean, that's really, really admirable and cool. So
it's quite the accomplishment. And that's why they're getting the good on ya in Madison. Tone Madison, you made Madison better, weirder, more fun, and engaged. So, and I'm trying to remind myself, when you mourn anything, right, that pain, it's based in love for something that's important to you. And I want to go pour one out, do a cheers to Tone. I bet that we could do that at a local neighborhood bar. That's probably the next place where we will be talking about the legacy of Tone and where those conversations will continue. This third spaces that hold our neighborhood and city together. And I bring it up because we're going to be doing a special episode later this month on Madison's iconic neighborhood bars. The bars that hold us together, our beloved bartenders that know your name, but also maybe your sister, maybe your favorite drink, the people that you go back to sit at their bar and feel like you're a part of a family. Those bars, and we want to hear from you, like which bars are special to you. Let us know. Leave us a voicemail at 608-318-3367 or email us at madison@citycast.fm. Haley, Emily, what are your go-to neighborhood bars?
Who can't not say Players, I feel like. East Side Staple, East Side Institution, but also over in the East Johnson area, I really feel like Caribou is a spot, but also Public Parking and Robin Room are kind of spots. Like, my mind immediately goes to dive bars, right? But that's not to say that cocktail lounges can't be those spaces either.
Haley, I'm a dive bar dreamboat, according to a t-shirt that I own. Okay, so I was going to go Caribou because as a recent transplant, the bartenders are so nice and I'm pretending that they're my friends. So it's going to be Caribou for me.
Yeah, I think Caribou is a leader. When we pitched and talked about this show, Winslow is your bartender's favorite bartender, and he works at the Caribou behind the bar. He's like the sweetest man ever, and he's got an incredible mustache, and he's got a wonderful Wisconsin accent. And I have asked him to be on the show multiple times, and it was sweet because he did go and listen to the show, and he said "Today" to me, but he's not necessarily trying to get out from behind the bar and come on this show unless he's listening, in which case, Winslow, love to have you on. But we will be having Colleen Hayes as a part of that conversation. And she is just a Madison staple and star, and she bartends at Jenna's. So Jenna's Lounge on the Capitol Square has always felt like a neighborhood bar. Even though, it's downtown, so it's for everyone, it has the feeling of family. It is a family-owned business, and that one's pretty high on my list. But I'm really excited to hear about you out there listening, your favorite neighborhood bar, your favorite bartender. Like, share some love, share some tea, share some whiskey, any of the above. Call us, leave us a voicemail at 608-318-3367 for our neighborhood bars conversation coming up. I cannot wait for that. This was really fun. Happy Election Day. Happy summer sporting. And 3 cheers to you, Tone Madison. Thank you for talking about what's happening in the Hamlet this Tuesday. Emily Winter, welcome to CityCast Madison. This was awesome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is a blast.
And Haley Sperling, thanks so much.
Thanks, Bianca. Go vote.
That's all for today. here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. You can get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to the CityCast Madison newsletter. And don't forget, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with someone who loves participating in our democracy and leaves it all on the field. All right, see you back here tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Until then, thanks for listening and have a great weekend.